The Basilica Cistern was built in the 6th century AD at the time of Justinian and was completed by 532 AD. In 1987, we had some restoration done to this old and largest underground cistern of Constantinople that covers 9,800 square meters, 150 meters long and 65 meters wide, with a capacity of 100,000 tons of water, and water level is kept in our times at 1.5 meters high. We do have a boardwalk, so we can actually walk around this beautiful underground cistern, which has 336 columns in 12 rows. The height of the columns are 9 meters, and caps are usually Ionian, Corinthian, and Doric as well. The famous teardrop column and the two Medusa heads must definitely be seen while making this walk around the underground cistern. The Hagia Sophia Museum was the biggest Byzantine church built in Constantinople, 3 times over the same premises. The first 2 were ruined by the rioters, and the last one was commissioned by Justinian and was completed in 5 years, 10 months in 537 AD. It was converted into a mosque in 1453, and thanks to the religious tolerance of Islam, all the mosaics and frescoes were covered with plaster upon the conversion of the church. The dome was solidified by Sinan in the 16th century because the second church was a lot smaller, and Justinian wanted the largest church ever built anywhere in order to surpass the great Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. This is why some 30 years after the dome collapsed during an earthquake and had to be rebuilt several times until the days of Sinan. But once Sinan had built the buttresses we have today from the outside pushing the dome to the center, the building has been safe ever since. In our times, it's been going under some restoration in the last 11 years. Church of St. Sophia was used as a church for 916 years and the following 482 years as a mosque, and was converted into a museum in 1935. At the entrance to the church, we can see from the second half of the 9th century AD the mosaic of Emperor Leo VI begging in front of Jesus Christ, who is seated on the heavenly throne, and on both sides we can read, "I am the light of this world." Above this, we see mosaics along this inner aisle of the church, mosaics which are originals from the 6th century AD, because they do not have any human representations. Let us not forget, St. Sophia, as well as other churches of Constantinople, had a very destructive period known as the Iconoclastic Age in between 726 and 843 AD. During that time, the people of Constantinople were destroyers of human representations as well as the cross pieces. So all these mosaics with figures on are from the second half of the 9th century AD and until the 12th century AD. Once we enter into the church, in the front of the church, in the apse, we can see Virgin Mary with Jesus Christ and with 2 angels on both sides. Down below you can see some Arabic script, and these large Arabic scripts of Allah is on the right with Mohammed on the left is just a lovely example that Istanbul is the city of many contrasts. At the bottom of this We have the prayers niche pointing to Mecca, which was added when it became a mosque, as well as the Friday's pulpit to the right. So we are actually visiting a museum combining the characteristics of a church and a mosque all in one. Other than the beautiful mosaic of Virgin Mary with Jesus Christ, before we leave the building, there is another very major mosaic with Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ in the center, as well as Justinian to the left, Constantine the Great to the right. Constantine presenting a model of the city that he had founded, while Justinian presenting a model of the church that he founded. And it does not have the minarets we see today, because that is how it looked when it was a church. This mosaic is especially very interesting because being built in the 10th century AD, you may find it ironic that we see the first examples of Renaissance appearing on this mosaic. If you look at the faces of the two emperors on both sides, both Justinian and Constantine, they are both half turned to the center because they're looking at Virgin Mary with Jesus Christ as infant. By looking towards the center has given them a face with unequal cheeks. The nose is closer to one side and it's not in the center. So this is where the third dimension of Renaissance first begins. Some 400 years earlier to the Italian Renaissance, which you can see in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, in the second gallery where you have paintings of Giotto going back to 1320s, is when Italian Renaissance had started. This 400 years difference between Byzantine Renaissance and Italian Renaissance is an interesting feature in the year 2010, when European culture went from Yarımburgaz. Renaissance also went from Saint Sophia to Italy in the second half of the 15th century when Constantinople was conquered by the Ottoman Turks. So the artists of this beautiful art of mosaics also left town, and Italy became famous with Renaissance once those artists moved to Italy.